Hello, everyone, and welcome at Raynor Massage Worldwide podcast. And today we have Sharla Duncan, who is in BC, Canada, nearly on the other side of the world for me. And Sharla has been a practitioner, Raynor Massage Practitioner for 12 years and almost 6 years of teaching this amazing technique. So welcome, Sharla.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here with us today. That would be really good to hear a bit about your story and how everything happened, and also maybe give some hints to anyone wanting to learn this really amazing technique, especially in Canada, because I know it changes from different country. We have different regulations. So maybe if you want to tell us, why did you choose Raynor Massage? How did it happen in your life?
Well, I think for every modality that somebody gets drawn to, something usually extravagant happens. So for me, my firstborn daughter has cerebral palsy. And so I was always kind of looking for, I guess, modalities to help her. And then in doing so, I was also seeking my own self-healing journey. And I stumbled upon Raynor Massage after several different different other modalities, I guess. I had learned some different spa massages. I had done, let's see, what was my first one? My first one would have been, I think, just not lymphatic drainage, that came later, but just very what I call fluffy, just fluffy massage.
Yeah.
The feel good, lightly touch. People are like, oh yeah, that feels good. Here, can you pinch my shoulders? Can you do this? And people always, I found, craved deeper than what I knew how to give. And I felt the same. Other people would work on me, and it's either they were like, ouch, 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 like it hurt in a way that wasn't in correspondence to the way I felt. Felt like it was always against the natural flow of what I needed or what I wanted. Or it was just too light. And so it would frustrate me. And I was trying to find a balance in between the good and the bad, I guess.
Yeah.
And I had sought out other modalities, and they all played a role. So I had done some Reiki, and as much as I kind of liked the energy feel of things, because I was always very empathic, I wanted something hands-on. I wanted somebody to give me hands-on. I didn't want just the hovering over me, because it, as much as it felt good, I wanted something deep. Like I wanted, give me, squeeze my muscles, shake my muscles, do something, take away the tension that I had in my system, and nobody seemed to know how to do that. So then I would go to chiropractor, because chiropractics, they would manually manipulate you. And of course, then it was like, oh, good. Now, if you could only just do that a bit longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, and then they would use that little what we called the thumper.
Oh,
And
the little girl, you mean?
yeah, like it would just be like bump, 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 bump,
Ah,
bump, bump,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
But it had like four little nubs on it, I guess, and it would shake on you and go blah 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 blah. And I mean, I really really liked that, but then it just wasn't long enough.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, I just wanted them to push harder. Like, and then what else? What did I find? Body talk. I did some body talk. And although that was really good too, it wasn't that hands-on deep tissue, I guess. And the funny thing is, I didn't even really know what I was looking for. I just knew what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Right. Right. It's kind of like having a craving.
Yes.
If you're craving something salty, or if you're craving something sour or something sweet, you don't know what you're looking for until you find it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how Raynor Massage came in. I had sought out all these different styles of massages. I trained in all these different styles, all these different things. Thai was close. It was kind of what I wanted, but then I wanted something that had a bit more flow. So I'm like, I just need something that's kind of in between all of this. And then one day I was just feeling so, I don't know, tired and overwhelmed. And I was looking on like online Groupon or coupon services kind of thing, like discounted things in my local area. And it said 2-hour Raynor massage. And I'm like, what? Who in the heck would want 2 hours of something? And then I'm like, oh, who has 2 hours in their day to even take that time out for self-care, let alone anything else? And it says, so when I phoned, he had said that I could use 2 1-hours, but he recommended the full 2 hours. So I made arrangements. I had my two daughters at that point now. And that's kind of how I fell upon that. I went in and so I was registered for the RMT school in Vernon, which is about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the weather and how you drive away from me. But nothing was falling into place. Childcare wasn't falling into place. Funding wasn't falling into place, but I was bound and determined that I was going to do it. And at that time, it was 3 years in BC, not just 2 years, and $30,000, which I was a single mom, 2 kids, and didn't know how I was going to do that. So I took my application and I was going to send it in. And on my way, I thought, well, I'm going to go to my appointment. After my appointment for my massage, then I'll go to the bank, I'll get my bank draft and I'll send it, because I had to send a bank draft with my application. And I had cash in the car, which was really weird. Not $30,000, but my deposit. And so I was going to switch that into a bank draft. And then, I went and got a massage, and it was everything I needed. It was incorporating the deep breath. It worked with my breath. It went really deep, exactly what I needed, just like right down to that exhale. And then it was held until I breathed in again. And when I breathed in, it was like, yeah, finally, somebody knows how to get to those depth of that tension that's so deep rooted in my system. And it was everything I didn't know I needed.
Right.
Everything I did not know I needed. And it was magical. And I had an outer body experience. I literally sat in the corner up in the room watching this fellow work on me. And it was transformational. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then after my 2 hours was done, which felt like 5 minutes, I kept thinking, oh my gosh, it cannot be done. No, it cannot be done. Like I want more. I craved more.
Yeah.
But I left there feeling like jello. Like for the first time in, oh my goodness, I don't even know how old I was at that time. 30, maybe 32, 30. I don't even know. I can't remember. I can't do math. Math right now is not my strong suit. So, anyways, I just sat there and I'm like, oh my God, hallelujah. Like somebody finally figured out how to massage, and I'd been to many. And it was just magical.
Do
and
you
so I
remember
looked,
you felt? Well, what you felt, but I mean, do you remember what he did?
and not during the time, because I was completely out of body. Yeah. I was completely, I mean, after I sat, and I remember watching, looking down and watching him work on my body.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't, but I kept asking him, I'm like, I really liked the music you were playing with the native drumming. And he's like, I wasn't playing music with native drumming. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
Yes, you were. I heard it. Like, it was like drumming. And he's like, no. No,
destination.
he's like, I like, and I think it was like Oceans or something like that.
Oh,
That he had
really?
playing. Oh yeah. And I'm like, no. Like I heard drumming, like ceremonial drumming. He's like, there was no drumming, Sharla. I'm like,
Incredible.
oh yeah. So it was pretty cool. Like this was like my inner self coming. I mean, and I'm not Indigenous, but I've always been kind of called to that.
Yeah.
So it was really, really cool because it was, I could hear like, I could hear the beat of the earth, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense. Like it just, I could feel I was so connected. I felt so connected to everything around me. And anyways, I walked out afterwards. I mean, he left the room and I remember just going into a zone for about 30 minutes. And one of like the lady who we were operating out of he was operating out of a tea shop at the time.
Right.
And so she comes and knocks at the door and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, I sat up and I'm like, "Yes, I'll be right out." Oh my goodness. Thank goodness he had more than one treatment room because I was out like a light. I was traveling somewhere. I was doing something. But anyways, afterwards I came back, I walked out and got all my, ducks in a row and I just said to him, I'm like, "So I understand your school." He's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "When is the next course?" So this was in June. I'm like, "When is your next course that you're teaching here?" He's like, "In September." I'm like, "Sign me up." And he's like, "Okay." And I'm like, yeah, like, "So how much is it?" And he's like, "Well, all you need is this amount for down pay or deposit." Um, he's like, "It's non-refundable.
Yeah.
But if you can't make that session, that money goes towards any other session that you want to go to." And I think we still keep that as an instructor now, like we still have that rule in place. And so anyways, and I thought, well, I have this much. And he's like, "Oh, well, that's the amount it is for the first certificate for that whole week." I had the exact amount that I needed for the certificate week because that was going to
Amazing.
be my deposit that I was, and I had it in cash
In
in my
cash.
vehicle because I was
Wow.
going to go to the bank to get a bank draft to send it to go to RMT school. So every door was opening for me for Raynor Massage. It was super easy. Everything fell into place, but nothing, every door was slamming for
This is
me.
incredible.
Yeah,
These are
like it was
goosebumps. I love it.
right. And I just sat there and I went, "Oh my gosh, like I am so called to this." Like, and it was exactly what I was looking for. So when I went to school in September of 2012, um, I think there was 14 of us in our class. And like it was a big class. And there again, like I was the demo for one of the days and I went into a full emotional release, quite a significant one, where I had to look up what was happening to me. And apparently it was a Kundalini awakening.
Wow.
And I had lightning bolts shooting out my fingers. I had this spin of, I don't even know, going through my head, up my toes. Like, and I was just like vibrating and I was crying, but I wasn't, it was like crying, but uh
Of relief.
yeah, like just all this stuff that had built up over the years. And I think just like the trauma of being a young mom, having a child with a disability, and then, becoming a single parent and then having another child, and being in a relationship that wasn't great. And then being a single mom again now of two kids. Like there was just a lot. There was a lot. And I mean, other things also, but that tension just came out. And at one point, my oldest daughter, she doesn't speak well because of her cerebral palsy. And I remember when I was going through this emotional release, I could imagine what her body felt like how her body cramps. Because cerebral palsy is a neurological disorder that affects the control of the muscles.
Uh-huh.
So it doesn't send the proper signal. So to like from the brain to the muscles.
Right.
So she can maybe overreach or something, right? Like if she's thinking, "I want to pick up this pen," it might take her a few tries to pick up the pen. She can't write really. She can kind of write her name, but it's not super legible. But like, just so there's just different things, like the way her body was, and it gave me this understanding and a complete different compassion and a complete different outlook, because her face came like at my face, and all I remember hearing is "Mom," and I knew exactly it was her, and I could feel everything, and it's like we merged, and it just like I understood for the very first time. I just understood. So it was really life-changing for me. And after that, I said to the fellow who was teaching, I said, one of these days, I said, sooner than later, I'm going to teach this. I need to teach this. And he kind of looked at me and he's like, well, we're not really looking for instructors right now, but he's like, I'll keep you in mind. Well, then after the 2 weeks, he had asked if I wanted to, because I lived locally, he asked if I wanted to come and work with him. And so I did. I worked with him for about 3 years. And then I branched off on my own and opened my business, Just Breathe Massage. And that just kind of seemed to make sense, because I always tell everybody, okay, just breathe.
Yeah, it's all about breathing.
Right?
It's
Yeah.
just,
So, I mean, it was good, and everything fell into place. And then in 2019, well, end of 2018, he came to me. And so I took my advanced, in 2013 with Brandon. Brandon came back to Canada, and I had taken my advanced class. And at that point too, I remember saying to Brandon, because I had another huge emotional release in that class. The partner that I had in one of the days, her and I were just like a dynamic duo that was crazy, like crazy. Yeah. So I said to
you
Brandon
mean
after,
like one releasing the other one too? Is that
absolutely, yeah.
oh.
But intense levels, like, yeah, it was amazing and almost scary amazing,
Right.
if that makes sense. Yeah, like, didn't realize that, first of all, that I still had that much in me, and how could somebody just, so basically she worked on the micro bands in my pinky finger and just set me off. And also, I had a monkey bite from petting zoo when I was a kid, and I had a great big scar across my middle finger, and so she worked on that scar. And just before that, I have a scar on my pinky finger, because I had severed the tendon with changing a light bulb.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so she worked on those 2 scars, and just the stuff that was held in those scars and in those microbands just sent me for a loop. And there again, another huge transformation. So that was back in 2013. And so after that, I went up to Brandon and I said, just so you know, one of these days I'm going to be a teacher for you. I'll be an instructor. And he looks and he goes, you will you? in his Aussie accent, right? I said, I will. And anyways, and then I just didn't hear back for a few years, right? Because like I said, I was working with the other fella for 3 years or so. And then when I branched off on my own, he and I had kind of like, it didn't end on bad terms or anything that I recall. It's just, I wanted to expand in a different way. And I just felt like I needed to be able to have the opportunity to do that. Right. And so anyways, about 2018, he phoned me up and he said, hey, you want to go for coffee? And I was like, yeah, sure. And for whatever reason, coffee didn't work. So he shows up at my house for a quick visit, and he's got his mom and his dad and his wife and in the vehicle. And he's like, well, basically what I wanted to do is just come by and ask are you still interested in teaching?
Wow. Wow.
And I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, February, mark your calendar. I'm gonna fly you out to Victoria because I'm gonna need you there. And that will be the start of your training. And then you'll train again with Karina in Vancouver right after that. And then you'll be on your own. I was like, what? He's like, you've done this enough times. So when I worked for him in that 3 years, I had assisted him on numerous different trainings. So it's not that I didn't know what to do. I kind of just slid right in and figured it out. But I had to build my confidence, of course. And I was very busy that year, 2019. There was a full schedule. We had courses pretty much once a month. I think I taught 11 courses.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, right.
It was crazy. It was crazy. I was all over the place, all over BC, Canada. I mean, Canada, all over BC, all over Alberta, all over. I even went to Saskatchewan. That was a trip. Yeah, you attract some pretty interesting.
Where are those students from? Are they all from Canada or further?
I want to say that all of the students that I have taught, there was one in one of my Calgary courses. I think she was from, I want to say Denmark, but I honestly can't remember.
Yeah.
No, Belgium.
Okay.
Close enough, but
nice.
Yeah, Belgium.
All the way.
Everyone else, I mean, I've taught a lot of other ethnicities, but I think they've all been residents of Canada.
Oh, gotcha.
Where the one from Belgium, was it Belgium? Now I'm questioning myself, but anyways.
That's all right. Yeah. Somewhere in Europe.
Yes. Yeah, in Europe. But she was here on a work visa.
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh. And do you have any from the States?
I don't recall, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't recall.
Yeah, that's very interesting because like if you had this amount of student like once a month, so you must have a lot of people trained in Canada with Raynor Massage now.
Yeah, but they're all over the place too. Like we had some from the East Coast come here because we weren't teaching in the East Coast at the time. I believe Brandon's hoping to expand back in there again. I think he had Art out there because Art has family in Ottawa, I believe. So I believe Brandon is planning on opening up the eastern parts of Canada soon. So that will be nice. But other than that, I've taught Saskatchewan, Alberta, and BC.
Wow.
Wow.
So
and Saskatchewan is a different, it's a different place, let me tell you.
Is it?
Really? Yeah, adventures happen when I go to Saskatchewan. Great people. Yeah, I've met some very lovely people in all of the areas that I've taught. But yeah, every time I go to Saskatchewan, some sort of adventure happens.
Wow. Yeah.
Either my car breaks down, I need new tires. I taught in a haunted house. We had to move after 3 days because I'm like, I cannot do this. This is crazy. My posters are coming off the wall every night, and I'm the only one here. And I know I'm not sleepwalking. So, I mean, I've had some adventures in Saskatchewan. Yes.
Yeah. Well, there is a bit of history there, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I said, it's an adventure. It's been an adventure. So.
Oh wow. And so now you're teaching on your own.
Yes. Well, I've been teaching on my own I was working. Yeah, when I started, I was doing more, I guess it would be more employee stuff. Now it's more contracting. So a little bit different.
Yeah. So if there were, someone watching right now and say, wow, okay, that sounds amazing, and maybe feel the call, because usually I guess it's as you say, we always have a story behind. And when the person feels the call, I think that's for me, I need to learn this technique. Can you tell us what is the certificate and the diploma and how you're teaching that?
I'm not sure if I'm understanding your question.
So if you want to maybe explain, because maybe people don't know how long is the certificate.
Oh, okay. So the difference between the two.
Yeah. And if you
Well,
teach
the certificate level is more, so we have an online component, which we prefer them to complete the online certification, I suppose, or completion before they come to the in-person certificate class. That way they have a little bit of understanding and knowledge of what Raynor massage is. And at that point, they would also know, is this for them?
yeah,
Right? Because if they don't make it through that and they're just kind of like, this isn't really what I want, right? Then they're not investing that full amount of money to into something that's really not what they want, right? The certificate level in person is where you're going to learn the technique. You're going to learn the bands of tension, where they run, how they correlate to everything else in the body, and how you can make it kind of, we can do it with clothes on, and we can do it like the traditional way where it's like there's oil involved too. However, we're kind of leaning more towards like fully clothed. That way you have the technique and the skill to do that anywhere on anybody, right? And nobody has to feel in any way that they would be taken advantage of or violated in any way, right? So that's a bonus, because most people think, oh, massage, I have to be naked.
yeah.
Well, that's a misconception, because you can get good relief without having to be disrobed in any way. Absolutely. Right? There's a lot of techniques that you can use that don't require oil or don't require the clothes to be off in any way. So the certificate level, I find for me, when I'm teaching it, is about where are these bands? How do you find them? How do you recognize them? And what do they feel like? So do they feel very ropey? Do they feel like bubbles? Do they feel like crystals? Do they feel like, what does a knot feel like? And if I'm feeling a knot, say up in my shoulder, where's it coming from? Is it coming from my neck? Is it coming from my arm? Is it coming from my feet? You know, or a lot of people will say, oh, I have lower back pain. And really it's because their glute muscles are tight. Right? So, but what's causing the glute muscle to be tight? Well, it's probably somewhere in their foot. But traditional massage, all they would do is they would just work that glute, or they would work that lower back. And then they get temporary relief, but they're not going to the root of the problem. So certificate level teaches you all about the roots of tension. Where are those roots coming from? Or where is the rest coming from? Like, what are the roots of tension? And why is it so important for us to understand the root? Right? Yeah. So it's like if you have an internal bleed and you try and put a Band-Aid on top, you're not fixing that internal bleed. All you're doing is you're stopping the bleeding from oozing out. You're slowing down that bleeding from oozing out of that Band-Aid, but you're not stopping that internal bleed. Right? So if you look at it from like, well, my tension keeps coming back. Well, what's causing that tension? And that's what I loved about Raynor Massage in the very beginning, is it dealt with the 4 layers of tension. It dealt with the mental chatter that we all come in with. Like, we've got that chaos that's going on in our head, that story that is just repeating over and over and over again. And we're thinking about our grocery list, and we're thinking about getting the kids off to school, and do I have any clients this week, or oh my goodness, I have so many clients this week, and I didn't get to bed until this time, and I have so much to do. I've got laundry, and I've got to make dishes, or cook and clean, and like we have all this chaos as our mental chatter. So how do we calm that chaos? First of all, right? The second one is the physical tension that everybody. It's why we seek out body work, is because we want to get rid of that physical tension. But what causes some of that physical tension is not only that mental chatter, but the emotional stuff that lays in the superficial layers of our body, right? And then what is deeper than that? We have the traumas. And sometimes people say, oh, well, I didn't really have any trauma in my life. But traumas could be things that we don't even realize it. I mean, I use the example of, you know, if you've ever watched the cartoons or movies where like this little kid is having this major freak out attack because this cat's stuck up in their tree, and then the firefighters have to come and they have to rescue this cat. Somehow or another, we've had this attachment now to the cat and the tree and now the firefighters, and that's a trauma.
Yeah.
Right? And we don't even think that that's a trauma, but somehow or another it affects us somehow.
Yeah.
So it can be something that doesn't seem like it's big, right down to physical violence, sexual violence. And there again, like I said, it doesn't have to even be that deep, right? Trauma depends on your perception of how we internalize that.
Right.
And it anchors somewhere.
Yeah.
And so our job is to find that anchor, release that anchor, and then the rest will release. Yeah. So that all can be taught in week 1.
Yeah.
And it seems like a lot.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I think it's really the power of coming to a course, a physical, being in presence, rather than only doing the online course. There is a big gap there, isn't it?
Well, online serves a purpose, absolutely. Yeah. But you miss that connection, right? Like being on a Zoom call with you right now, like I can feel a little bit of, you know, who you are. I can get a sense of that. But I'm a very kinetic person. So to me, like if I could reach out and hug you or be within your, you know, 9-foot bubble or let's say your 9-meter bubble or your 27-foot bubble of your energy, then that would be completely different, right? Being able to have that ebb and flow with somebody is completely different than watching something online. Yes, you can grasp the concept of it, but what does it feel like?
That's why I need to receive also, yeah.
Yeah. And so in our week 1, that's what in our in-person courses, that's what we do is you learn your lesson in the morning and your content. And then in the afternoon, you are giving and receiving right from day 1. And the impact that you get, and hopefully if you have a big group, right, you get to have all that energy from everybody that's there. And yes, it can be overwhelming. It can be super stimulating. Yeah. But there's never a mistake of who's in your class, whether it's 1 person, 2 people, or 12 people. There's never a mistake, because that's the lesson that you need to be part of. That's the experience that you need to be part of. And it's always magical. It's always magical. So, yeah, I don't know. I might be a little bit passionate about it. I'm not sure.
That's good. And what do you do in the diploma? You go more in depth? What is the...
Yeah, in the diploma, there's a little bit more of, we learn a little bit about aromatherapies and how that plays a part. You're definitely not going to be an aromatherapist after, you know, our tiny little introduction to it. But you're going to have an understanding of how the aromatherapies can be beneficial into your massage. You're going to learn side position or pregnancy position. Sometimes, depending on the class, that gets integrated into week 1, but a lot of times, like we've been teaching it in week 2. Because we don't want anybody with minimal experience to be working on somebody who's pregnant, right? Yeah. Although side position is beneficial for everybody, we just go a little bit more in depth in the pregnancy part of it in week 2. And let's see what else. We do an introduction to reflexology. So there again, you won't be a reflexologist after our little introduction, but you'll have a little bit better understanding and how it correlates, how the importance of it correlates with Raynor massage, because that is all part and parcel, looking at the zoning as well as the bands and how they also run along kind of with the meridians and all that kind of stuff, and how everything kind of fits together like a puzzle piece.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Even
and
the
then
hands also. Because I mean, there's not a lot of massage therapists that know how to massage properly the hands.
yes,
So, yeah.
or feet.
Well, feet for sure, yeah.
Yeah. That's like that's the one thing I can say when I would get massages from other places. They spent 2 seconds on my hands. I'm like, my hands are working hands.
That's
I
right.
do not have dainty lady hands. Okay. Like I want somebody to get in there and work my hands.
Right? Yeah, I know that.
And yeah. And if you have anybody that comes to you that are like, say, blue collar workers, who, like welders, they usually have their hands are like this all the time, and they're using their it's crazy. But anybody that works a lot with their hands, you
Even
could fall
computer
asleep.
work.
Yeah, computer work, exactly.
Yeah.
And guess where that's going to go? Shoulders, your neck, everything. And yeah, well, where did it stem from? Well, roots of tension.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah. Why are you working on my hand? I'm so on my neck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can feel that releasing up here. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and people with lower back issues, they forget that, I mean, if they have weak abdomen, right, they're going to have lower back issues because they're swaying. So we hold so much tension in our belly. And so we work on that on the belly in week 1, but we go more in depth in week 2. And then Brandon really accentuates that all in the advanced class of, like now let's delve deeper into that and really, really see how all of this can be so deep rooted, and how can we help our clients pull that out. So the one thing I always teach my students too is, don't think you're a god, because you can pull out all your tricks, everything else. But if that person is not a willing participant, if they are not willing to do their healing work, it doesn't matter all of your skills. They're going to do nothing. They will test your skills for sure. Yeah. Because if you get into your ego and think, I can fix this person, well, guess what? No, you can't. Because if that person's not willing to heal and be on that journey with you, then it's just not going to work. So when we're looking for students and we're looking for people that would be good practitioners with us to join our team, our Raynor family, we're looking for somebody who, and even with our clients, we're looking for people who are wanting to, what we call them, red lights, green lights, and yellow lights. That's how Brandon refers to them. So a red light person is somebody who, they just have no interest. They're like, nope, absolutely not. I don't want to breathe deep with you. I don't want to participate in this. Like, basically my husband or my wife bought my a certificate for me, or and paid for my treatment, and I really don't want to be here. Well, we don't really want you to be here either. So maybe gift it to somebody who does, right? Yeah. Until they're open. I mean, if they're open-minded about it and they're willing to take a journey with you, then it can be magical. But some people, their hurt and their pain, they identify with that, and that is part of who they are. And they're just not, they don't know what it would feel like to be able to surrender that. And that's okay. There's no judgment there, right? It's just, that's not somebody who is going to work well or respond well with us. Yeah. They need something that's a little bit more gentle, that's more just for the mind. So it's not that we can't do that. We can do that fluffy stuff because we learned how. We can work on the first layer of tension, which is the mind chatter. Yeah. And they can get some relief for that, but it will be very temporary. Yeah. Right. So, but then, yeah, the yellow lights are the ones who are they're wanting to explore, they're looking for something new, they're just not sure, but they have a willingness, they're just not quite ready to delve right in.
Yeah, a bit of fear. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. They have that fear. They're skeptical, or they're skeptical about it, right? So but a yellow light, they can turn into a green light when they realize how they feel afterwards, right? And then you have your green lights who are like, here I am.
I'm ready to get rid of my
tension. Yeah. Like, here are my fingers. Feel free to work on them. Here are my toes. And they're open to taking that journey for themselves. And we are the conduits that help. We are the tools that help to carry out their journey, to help them with that, because we are just another modality that can help them towards their healing, because that's what they're choosing.
And that is the beauty of this of Raynor massage, because when you have the green light, you can release so many layers in just one session. Correct. But it's true that when we're not ready, it's it can feel too much.
Mm-hmm. Well, it can be very overwhelming, and it can send you into a fight or flight mode, right? Rather than that rest repose. Yeah. Right. And we don't want to be there that whole time. We want to be able to be there and then come back. And that's the other thing about Raynor Massage that I really like is if you watch the videos, although it seems really intense when Brandon or any of us are working on somebody, what we're trying to do is we're trying to build them up, and then we bring them back down. We give them that chance to come back down. We don't want to stir them up and like leave them there, right? We build them up and we let them vibrate and go through some of their stuff, and then we allow their body to come back down. And that's where, even when we're putting in our pressure, right, we lift up with their breath. We don't come off, but we just breathe, come in with them, and then we come back down with their breath, and we let them exhale, and then we come back in. And I always say it's like it's like an ebb and flow. It's like a wave of an ocean, right? The wave goes out and the wave comes in, and the wave goes out and the wave comes in. So as we're working with the people, our clients, in that way, or our students, and teaching them, that's the same kind of thing. It's the beauty of the breath. As we breathe in, we lighten the tension or the pressure. And when they breathe out, we deepen the pressure. When we breathe in, we lighten the pressure. When we breathe out, we deepen the pressure. And it allows them to go into that space of, right, that calm again, coming in, finding that tension, identifying, and then being able to breathe it back down. And I found that for me, that was exactly what I was looking for. Finding somebody who's willing to work with me, where I know that I'm supported 100% of the way in my journey. And when that was shown to me in that way, it was so freeing, because I hadn't felt supported. Like, the whole reason I was riddled with tension is because I didn't have anybody that knew how to support me where I was at. And when I got this massage, who thought in a million years that a massage could be that place or that space where you understand how you can hold space, not only for yourself, but this person who is massaging you is holding that space for you and carrying you through that journey. So that's like, I don't like to do short sessions. I like to do 90 minutes to 2 hours, right? People say, how do you do that? Are you not exhausted? I'm more exhausted when I do a 1 hour.
Yeah, I hear
than I am doing a 2 hour. because a 2 hour, like, you have that time to carry that person and to hold space with that person. And they come out of there and they're like, oh, finally. And it's like, yes, because you treated yourself to 90 minutes or 2 hours of a massage rather than 45 minutes. That is getting you nowhere. You're just getting started.
That's right.
At 45 minutes.
Yeah. It takes a bit of time to build up and trust and starting opening up. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So how it is to open a business, a massage business in Canada? Well, at least BC, because from what I heard, it's different depending on the states. Is it easy when you have done Raynor Massage course?
I think it depends on your business knowledge, right? Here in, I mean, there's competition wherever you go. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's a little bit more difficult, but I think it just depends. Like, if you really want something, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
As far as from the business aspect of things, is like getting like a business license. It's more or less like you're going to your each municipality is a little bit different.
Right.
So even in Kelowna, there's like West Kelowna, there's Kelowna, there's West Kelowna, there's Lake Country, which is not far. Then, you can expand outward. Each municipality may have a little bit different rules, I guess. So it depends how to answer that question. It's easy enough to get a job or to go out on your own if you don't look and compare yourself to an RMT.
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
I think a big mistake here in Canada is everybody, especially in BC, we're always compared to RMTs.
Can you describe what is RMTs?
RMT is remedial massage therapist.
Yeah.
So that is where it's where they're registered. They take the 2-year course. So that's originally what I was going to do before I ended up with Raynor Massage.
Yeah.
Right. So basically they have 2 years of schooling, 2 or 3 years of schooling. In BC, we have a whole different people look at it a lot differently. There's their own group governing everything that we do. So for example, we're not allowed to use the word therapist.
Yeah.
Unless you are a registered massage therapist. If you went RMT, then you can use the word therapist.
Right.
Otherwise, and they don't even like us using the word practitioner.
Yeah.
Right. So we can be a Raynor massage specialist. Yeah. We can be. I call myself a practitioner because I practice Raynor massage. Yeah. But I call myself a Raynor practitioner. Or a Raynor specialist. Yeah. There's ways of getting around it. You just can't say massage therapist.
Yeah. Okay.
We're not even actually supposed to use the word therapy in our websites or anything like that. We will get flagged.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know for anyone wanting to start. That's this being careful with the wording and everything. You still are able to be a massage specialist in Canada without going through the RMT.
Yeah.
$3,000.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't speak for like I said, Eastern Canada or anything like that. I know in Saskatchewan, it's not regulated. So in Saskatchewan, you can call yourself therapist.
Okay. Yeah.
They don't care. They're not regulated there. But in Alberta and BC, we're regulated. Okay. Yeah. So we have to be careful of what we call ourselves. Yeah. We cannot necessarily, we can always give our clients a receipt. Whether their extended healthcare benefits will cover it or not is up to that particular company. because if they specifically state that it has to be an RMT, then we're not covered. But if they have other modalities, if they have a funding pool that their company allows, then if we have a receipt that we can give them, then we can do that. If you have other modalities that you practice, so maybe their company states that Reiki can be covered, you know, to help your clients out, you can put it under that. Because realistically, any modality that you do comes through any of your sessions. Right. I always use, if like when I'm doing a massage, I always body talk my clients to a degree. Right. Like I might not be doing a full body talk session on them, but I use body talk techniques. Therefore, I could put their receipt as body talk if that was covered. I do some Reiki on them, so I could put it under as a Reiki massage. Do you know what I mean? There's different ways of doing it. If you have other modalities that you are offering, that you are incorporating.
That's the beauty of it with Raynor Massage, that you can actually mix it with other techniques if you want.
Absolutely. I mean, because Raynor Massage is a mixture of different styles, right? So that's what makes it so amazing, is there's elements of Thai massage where you're getting stretched and pushed to your limit, right? And then we pull you back a little bit, and then we push to where your natural resistance is, and then we pull back. There's the lomi part of it, where that's where that ebb and flow comes in, right? Where it's like long flowing energetic aspects of it. There's like I said, there's the reflexology element of things, of getting right to the roots of tension of your fingers and your toes, because your feet and hands are maps of your body, and that's what we're following. There's the meridian aspect of things, and the zoning, the reflexology zoning, that's Brandon combined them and simplified these bands and followed them through and discovered that, hey, this one matches here, and this one links to this one, and well, here we are. Right. So, but back to the whole how would it be for opening a business? With your diploma, you can work in a spa. You could work, if you really wanted to go work on a cruise ship, I mean, you could do spa massage, or like when people say spa massage, it's all about relaxation. Well, relaxation to people is very different. Some people, relaxation means fluffy, and some for relaxation means hot stone massage. And for some, for me, relaxation is, I want to lay down on the table and I want somebody to basically shake my body so that and take control over that, so that I don't have to be in control of my muscles all the time. Like, let me lay there and relax while you literally shake my body. That's what I want. Right. So that's the one thing also that I love about Raynor Massage, is that we do, like, we shake people's bodies, we maneuver them, we help them, manipulate them in the body's natural way, so that that person can be completely confident in just surrendering their muscles to us, surrendering their body parts, so that we can shake them out and we can get that tension out. And I want to be a rag doll on the table. That's how I want to feel. Because for me, that's what relaxation is about. I don't want somebody to do like this light, maybe afterwards. But during that, to get me to that place, get the tension out. Otherwise, I'm going to lay there in ache and pain, wishing and praying that you're going to go, deep enough into my muscles that you're going to pull up my tension. But
the fluffy side is like it feels good during, but then after it's gone, I mean, it doesn't really change much. But
See, for me, it's annoying.
oh, is it?
Yeah. And that's why I was always seeking something different.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so I just paid this much money.
Yeah.
And it felt like I was just being tickled. Well, that's not what I wanted. Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, I could make a game out of that with my kids and be like, hey guys, want to draw pictures on mommy's back? Right. To me, I got better back tickles from my kids drawing pictures than paying somebody $120 to do this fluffy massage. Like, no thanks. If I'm going to pay somebody, I want them to get some elbows and, you know, like walk on my back, right? Like people say, oh, you know, like the Thai style, right? I've never actually had it where they walked on my back.
Yeah.
But I just think that, I mean, I used to have my kids walk on my back.
Yeah. Yes, very cool.
Right. And I think part of that, I shouldn't say kids, my one daughter doesn't walk, but she would throw her body on me when she was little. I'd have my nieces and nephews walk on my back. That was amazing. But yeah, like that's for me, I guess, is why when I found Raynor Massage, that I loved it, because that's what it reminded me of, is that where the kids would be walking on my back, and it's like every once in a while you just got their heel there or their toes would dig in, and I'm like, oh yeah, right there, right there. Don't move, let me breathe.
I'm so glad that you really that you talk about this aspect, because it's so important. Yes, we are so different, and as you say, relaxation can be so, yeah, a complete different world for a person to another one. So that's really, really interesting. Yeah.
Well, it's just like, right, if you think about it, some people, relaxation is they're going to go skiing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you know, and to me, I'm like, if I'm out in the cold and I'm like throwing myself down a mountain, that's not very relaxation for me, right?
Putting that way, yes, I understand.
Right? It's all a matter of perspective.
That's right.
But so for me, that's more adrenalizing, right? Because it's gonna be full of adrenaline. I'm gonna be like, yeah, okay, I love the speed of this, right? Until I have to stop, and then I like crash into a tree, you know, or I take a nosedive and tumble down the mountain. However, at that point, then I'm going to be looking for some Raynor massage to help me. So, I mean, 6 of one, half dozen of the, I don't know. So yes, relaxation is very different.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I guess the release of adrenaline is probably a release of some sort. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, I've had people say that as they're getting a massage, they have that adrenaline rush at some point, right? So there again, it's like, what is adrenaline? Is adrenaline fear? Is adrenaline excitement? Right? Adrenaline is just intense emotional pressure that's coming up in our bodies. So how we view it or how we label it is different.
Yeah.
Right? So it can be very relaxing and it can be very invigorating. So for me, invigorating massage like Raynor Massage is very good, but it's also coupled with that relaxation part of things. So like I said, we build people up, we bring them back down. We build them up, we bring them back down. By the time they're done their massage, if done correctly, it feels like you either just ran a marathon, you just went to the gym, but you also then just soaked in a hot tub kind of thing, right? Like if it's done correctly, you come out of there feeling very euphoric.
Yeah.
And that's because of even the breath work that we do. So
the word I hear often, maybe you can tell us what you hear the most. For me, it's often light. It's probably like they feel lighter. But even though it's probably not the right word, but it's probably the closest to what they feel. What do they tell you?
Yeah. My client today said, yeah, she felt a lot lighter. But if you think about that, look how when cartoons, or like, what are they called? Like an author of a cartoon or the
drawer?
The illustrator. the illustrator of a cartoon,
Yeah.
how do they portray happy, light spirit or mood versus somebody who with that is like ho hum, like look at Eeyore and like Winnie the Pooh, right? Eeyore is, he looks heavy, he's a donkey, and he's like dun 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 ho hum. It's like they've got this little dark cloud over them and they're just dragging and they're heavy, you know what I mean? Like it's, so if you think about that, tension and pressure and like depression is that really heavy, solid, it's weighing you down, it's all the woes of the world. And when you can take a little bit of that for that person and help them work through that, of course they're going to come out of there going, right? Like, or they'll say, oh, I've got tingles everywhere, my whole body's tingling, right? Or am I supposed to feel like lightning or static or something's coming out my fingers? Yes, we always encourage people, flick your fingers, flick that energy out, pull that energy, shake it, move it, whatever, right? I tell people all the time, wiggle your feet, or I'll take their foot and I'll just shake it, shake their foot. Yeah. Take their arms and like do the same thing. And it's like you're shaking and pushing and flicking that energy everywhere. I often go up to them and I take it out of their head, right? Like I'll play with their hair. People want to put their hair in a ponytail. I'm like, don't bother. And now the funny thing is, like, I'm a hairstylist also by trade, first and foremost. So I always tell them, I'm like, don't worry about it. I'm a hairstylist. I'm going to just mess up your hair and give you a really good Raynor do. They come out of here looking like they're crazy. And yeah, anyways, but even our hair holds stuff. Yes. So if you think about like when you brush your hair, so many people don't brush their hair. Do you know how many nerve endings are in your head? Right? And when you do a massage at the very end, and when you're pulling that energy out of even the tips of their hair, when you're in sync and you're in tune with that person, they can feel you pull that energy even out of the tips of their hair. And they know exactly where you are. If you're connected with them, they know where you are at every second of every step of the way of that massage, because you're connected with them. Yeah. And we have to be careful not to take that on ourselves, but that's why we flick, right? Yeah. Doesn't mean we don't. I take it on a lot sometimes and go, okay, now I need to get rid of this because this is not my stuff. I don't need to keep it in my backpack.
Yeah. So what do you do to help you to release? In the summertime, I go jump in the lake, to be honest. Yeah. And I just let the water take it away. Yeah. Yeah. What else? In the wintertime, I find it a little bit more difficult. So I've gone for walks before. I've gone to the gym but I tend to go to the gym if I'm going to go, usually in the morning, just because I find it, as much as I hate mornings, I hate getting up and going to the gym in the morning. But at the same time, it's like I have a love-hate relationship with that because I really do love it. Yeah. But I really hate it. But that sets me up for the day. So then sometimes when I'm in that zone, I don't take it on as much. On the days that I have woken up and I might be a little bit tired or fallen behind, that's usually when I tend to find I take on more stuff and I don't release it as well. But what do I do? Let's see. I'll come home and have a shower. Yeah, shower. Water for me seems to flush it the easiest. Yeah. I've done some meditation, but I'm not great at releasing other people's stuff through meditation. Okay. I'm more of a physical aspect type person that way. I'm very kinetic. Yeah. Yeah. So I have to touch or have water rush over me or dive into the water. Yeah. That kind of stuff. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. That can help some people to, So that's a very important aspect of our work, I guess. Yeah. In class, when I'm with my students, I have each one of us, I call it raking, not Reiki, but raking, where it's like I teach people how to brush you off Oh, yeah.
So by the time that we are leaving the room, everybody gets brushed off before we go. And then I have somebody brush me off.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of leave it in the room and thank it for it doing its stuff. Because usually if we're usually burning some sort of an incense or smudging. Sometimes we'll just do a spray with essential oils to kind of lighten things up for the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or open a window, sometimes the airflow.
Yeah. Well, I guess in winter it's probably not the easiest thing for you.
Not always, no.
I don't know how cold it gets in BC, but it's probably pretty cold, isn't it?
It depends. Like we've had we haven't been much below zero so far this winter.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm surprised. Yeah, I guess it's different from the east. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And of course that's in Celsius.
Yes,
not Fahrenheit.
Yeah. Thank you.
That'd be really bad. Really cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we've been in the plus numbers this winter.
Interesting. Oh.
I mean, it's still cold, but usually it's about, let's see, I'll tell you what we are at right now.
Oh yeah, because it's winter. Yeah, I keep forgetting.
It is winter for us right now. We're at +4.
Plus what?
We're at +4.
Oh yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And this whole week, we don't even get in the minus.
Oh wow, very interesting. Yeah, December. Wow. Huh.
Yeah, December, January. Yeah, normally. So last year we had snow. I think we've barely had any snow this year. I think we had one little tiny bit of snowfall that we didn't even really have to shovel.
Wow, it's changing.
So
what would you, now I know that you are doing a course very soon. So if you want to talk about your course coming up.
Well, I have 2 courses coming up. So let's see, it will be February of 2024. I'd have to look at my calendar for the exact dates. And then and that's in Kelowna.
Yeah.
And then I have another one coming up March. That one's March 11th. I don't know why I remember that one, but I can't remember my February one. March 11th is in Victoria.
Okay. Nice.
And those are the only 2 I've got focused in my brain at the moment.
Okay, cool.
So
if they want to learn more and want to know about the course and anyone interested, how do they contact you?
They can either go on to the Raynor Massage website. So what's that? RaynorMassage.com.
Yeah, I'll put that in the link. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Or they can contact me at RaynorCourses.com.
Okay.
Yeah. Or they can look up Sharla Duncan on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, I do have the Raynor. Actually, it's under Just Breathe. So my business name is Just Breathe Massage. So it might be under the Just Breathe training. I think it's called Just Breathe Massage Training.
Okay.
So, or they can look up Sharla Duncan on Facebook. And
perfect. So if they have any questions, then they can just go on Facebook or email you, and you'll be able to.
Yeah, they can email me. Yeah, they can go on Facebook. I would answer on Messenger. If they have WhatsApp, I don't have one listed under Just Breathe or Raynor Massage, but they would just look under Sharla Duncan, and they could WhatsApp me as well.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, do you have anything you would like to add up before it's the end?
Well, I would just say that if you're looking for something to transform your life, I know there's lots of modalities out there that are wonderful. I know that Raynor Massage was the one that transformed mine. And I'd come leaps and bounds with other things, but this one just kind of put it all together for me. Yeah. So it's one of those things that Brandon did his research when he traveled around, and put all these different wonderful pieces of other modalities together in one simple structure. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it
You want to
seems to
help
be
people?
cool. Yeah,
Pardon?
I believe it's a call. This technique is so powerful. It's yeah, everyone has a very specific story when they had the first massage, or there's something so deep.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you shared with us your story. It is so powerful.
Well, thank you.
And I'm sure it will, yeah, open people's eyes in a different way, and in a good way. I believe it's from listening to other people's story, it really uplifts everyone, I reckon. And yeah, there is we yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it's uplifting, and it helps us to find um the yeah, it helps us to say, okay, yeah, this is for me, this is what I need to do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I do find though, also in people who aren't ready to dig deep into their own journey of healing are not drawn to this.
That's right.
So if you are watching this and if you are drawn to this, chances are you're ready to take the leap. Because if you're not, this wouldn't interest you at all. Like, it wouldn't even cross your path. So the thing is, like, I know that there's been some people and they're like, "Ooh, nope, this isn't for me." The funny thing is, it's going to come back around and it is going to be for you.
Sometimes
because you wouldn't be drawn here if it wasn't for you. If it wasn't supposed to be, like a rung in your ladder of your progression, if it wasn't meant to be one of your stepping stones in your climb of your mountain, it wouldn't have presented. If you have fallen on this video or any other videos of Raynor Massage, it is because it is where you need to be. That I truly, from the deepest part of my heart, believe that. So, and if you ever get a chance to get a massage, a Raynor massage, the thing is, keep in mind, not all practitioners are the same. So you may not love it from one person, but you may be completely transformed by another. So it's like any style of massage. You may like it from one, or a hairstylist. If you think about it as a hairstylist, you go to one hairstylist and all of a sudden it's like, that was the most terrible haircut I've ever had. Well, guess what? Your hair's going to go back. So what are you going to do the next time? You're going to go find somebody else. Are you going to stop getting your haircut? Probably not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So your journey in healing, it's the same way. Just because you don't mesh with one practitioner doesn't mean you're not going to mesh with any. And it doesn't mean that particular modality isn't the right one for you. You just haven't found your practitioner.
Yeah, right. I love that. Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So many people want to dismiss a modality, like they had a bad experience at a chiropractor, and then all of a sudden they don't want to go anymore. But there's been so many times where people come to me and I'm like, oh, you ever see a chiropractor? And I know the answer because I've already muscle tested them, and not on purpose. It's just that it just happens for me, right? Like, I already know the answer, but I have to say it out loud because they need to understand the importance of it. And I'll be working in their neck or something, and I'll be like, do you ever see a chiropractor? Oh, no, I went to this chiropractor when I was 12, and they're like 50. Okay, well, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I had a bad experience with the chiropractor. Okay, not all chiropractors are the same, and they probably learned a lot since then. However, do you feel this spot right here in your neck? And they're like, oh, oh, oh. Yeah, that's your vertebrae and it's out. Yeah. So yes, I have a bit of training, but that's not my area of expertise. So could I help you? Probably. However, I would prefer you to go to a chiropractor because you can feel right here. that I can work this and work this and work this, but if you don't get your vertebrae back into place,
Yeah.
you know, it's going to constantly give you problems. In the long run, it's going to be detrimental. So understanding the importance of all modalities, but finding the right person for you is the importance, right? Don't dismiss your healing because you had one bad experience, right? You eat a McDonald's burger, you might get gross, but does that mean you're gonna like dismiss all burgers? No, right? I mean, we have all had crappy burgers before, but come on, that doesn't mean you're gonna like write off all burgers. It just doesn't make sense. So, so if you can look at it from that perspective and go, oh, okay, you know, like, yeah, Raynor Massage was really good, but maybe you didn't like that practitioner. Well, you just haven't found your right one.
Yeah.
Because this is it's a magnificent healing modality. And so I encourage people, yeah, like if you're called to this, give it a try. Check it out. Check it out. Take the training, because then you know what to expect.
Yeah, because that's true.
Right?
We are all very different, I guess, with our background and yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this interview. That was really nice to know more about you and what you're offering and all those incredible stories. And I love the way you are showing with images. It's very illustrating. It's really cool.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for having me on your interview on your Zoom.
Oh, cool. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful
Okay.
day.
Thank you.